The New York Jets are about to have a whole lot of moolah. What the hell are they going to do with it? We'll talk about it. Boy Green Daily starts right now on a Memorial Day Monday.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show available wherever you get your podcast. We've got a lot to get to. I know you crazy Knicks fans are out there. We'll talk about some of that, I'm sure. You crazy bastards. We got a very special guest joining us as well on today's show, and got a great topic here. There's an article in the YouTube description down below. But quite frankly, before we get to any of that, I just want to talk about real quick what today is. Today is Memorial Day, and a lot of you are grilling and enjoying your family time and all that, and you get a 3-day weekend, and that's all well and good. But let's just remember that today is a day to honor and remember those who have died while serving in the U.S. military, that they made the ultimate sacrifice so we can all do whatever the hell we want. So let's just make sure we put that there where it belongs. And quite frankly, as I was preparing for today's show, I was going through some poems about Memorial Day, and one stood out to me. So I'm going to start off the show with it here. And the poem is called Underneath the Red, White, and Blue, A Veteran's Silent Battle. So I'll read that to you guys. And then, like I said, we'll start the Jet Show and do all that here. So a big shout out here to this poem. I feel like it was pretty moving before the show. Beneath the banner of the brave and free, in shadows deep where silent battles rage, there lies a soul who fought for you and me, now trapped within a war's unending cage. The fireworks that light the peaceful sky, to him are echoes of a distant fight. When comrades fell, and still his heart asks, why? He carries on, ensnared by endless night. The parades march in cheerful, bold array. Yet in his mind, the marches never cease, the flags that wave in honor of the day. For him are shrouds that offer no release. His valor, cloaked in ribbons and in stars, belies the wounds that time cannot erase. Each scar a story of the unseen wars, a silent testament to a darker place. Yet in this struggle, hidden from our view, he finds a strength, a will to persevere. For even as the night claims hues of blue, the dawn awaits to whisper, persevere. So let us hold our banners high and true, and remember those who bear the deeper scar. For underneath the red, white, and blue is a veteran's battle, both near and far. Let's honor them not just in word but deed, for freedom's cost is more than we can see. It's in the silent battles that they lead we find the price of our liberty. That in honor of Memorial Day. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the show. Just wanted to start off with that, and let's get into it. We got a wonderful guest to kick off today's show, baby. It is none other Dylan Terraman, a Jet Nation contributor and superstar in YouTube land. He's a rising meteoric person of interest. And, well, he has to grace us with his presence. So let's bring him in. Dylan Terraman, baby, here on a Monday. What's up, Dylan?
BG, how we doing? Happy Memorial Day Monday, and shout out everybody in the chat.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And first off, Dylan, let's get a shameless plug right off the get-go. You have a brand new YouTube channel that's brand spanking new out of the package. You got a ton of content over there, and I'd love to send anyone your way because you've been always awesome and a lot of fun on the show, so please.
I appreciate that. Yeah, as you see on the bottom in the byline, at Dylan Terraman, my full name. We're about 10 days into this thing. It's a completely new experience, moving away from Jet Nation's video content, but still contributing with Jet Nation, like you mentioned. So just trying to do my own little thing, little 5 to 10 minute videos on updates. And then I did more long form. I had a film breakdown on Thursday, a live stream with Buffalo last Thursday. I finally got my intro from Gator, so I'm really excited to show that next week on my next episode.
Ooh.
So just excited for all the love, appreciative of all of it, and looking forward to continue growing out my own little community here on YouTube.
There's no question. And again, that's an awesome shout out to Gator. He's been doing it for all of us. My radio show that celebrated 24 years this past week on air in a variety of places. We were on at ESPN, the Score 1260. We've been in a lot of places. We celebrated 24 years last week. But that terrestrial radio show is coming to an end at the end of June. And we're transitioning it. It's not dying. It's transitioning full time to our digital world here. And Gator was the first person I thought of to help us launch that puppy with all kinds of different things. You guys will see that in due time. So, yeah, Gator's the best, baby. So pour one out for your local Gator just in case you ever need anything. He's our guy. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
All right, Dylan, let's get into this because, pull out your calculators, folks. The Jets are about to get some money, some cold, hard cash. And that is because of their previous decisions with post-June 1 designations. That was linebacker C.J. Mosley and Aaron Rodgers. And the short and simple way to explain it is, of course, well, when you designate someone with a post-June 1 designation, and the Jets had a maximum of 2 to use, so did every NFL team, you get a chance to carry that money all the way through June 1st, and then on June 2nd, that splits. So you have to eat some of it now, some of it later. The good news is you get a windfall of money. Now, normally you get a windfall of money in June. You're like, what the hell do I do with this? Which we'll talk about the potential of that. But first off, I just want to go back because I know I asked you this before, Dylan. We did some show somewhere 1,000 years ago, and we talked about this offseason. Did you agree or disagree with the Jets' decision to use post-June 1 designations? Because some fans were like, hey, man, eat your lumps, take your medicine, eat your veggies, do it right now, and then you will bear none of the fruits of labor of yesteryear. Next year will be clean. You won't have anything to worry about. It's going to be a lot to eat initially, but then it's over. Some fans I know wanted the Jets to do that. They chose not to. Did you think it was the right or wrong decision?
So when they made the announcements, I thought it was the right decision because I was under the assumption that their free agency plan might have included a few bigger splashes, whether that was more money thrown to the safety position, and they only ultimately ended up with Andre Cisco for a 1-year, $8 million or $10 million deal. Potentially another wide receiver too, opposite Garrett. I was in the market for in free agency. Not so much D tackle. We knew that was more for the draft, but then as the process went along and their names that they were signing weren't necessarily bank breaking deals, I was like, okay, why did we end up doing this? We should have just taken all the hit right now and then next year open ourselves up for more flexibility. Now we're past the draft. We're past all that point. We're kind of done adding for the most part to the team, but there's still a few names out there where maybe this 22 million can actually really help. And I'll probably throw out some names that might not be consensus thoughts. I know DT is still a name that people want, and wide receiver 2 is still a name people want. They don't love Arian Smith and Josh Reynolds, but I'm more looking at edge with this money, and I want to see what they can do to supplement while Jermaine's hurt and while they don't necessarily have that third guy. If you don't want Michael Clemens on the field, and I certainly don't. So there's a lot of use now that the money is about to be here in a week that, okay, maybe we can use the 22 million, and it might have been the better idea in hindsight, and maybe we should trust Muji in his first year. And just because we disagree doesn't mean he's the worst GM that we've ever had.
Wow, you and logic and all these things and how we should properly be eating our meals here. That's good advice. I'm not sure that makes any sense to everyone out there in the universe, but I appreciate your chance to throw some logic in there. And let me explain for those who don't know. So currently, right now on May 26th, as we're doing this show, Aaron Rodgers and C.J. Mosley are counting $36.3 million against the salary cap. And neither of them are here. So that's not ideal by any means, of course. But on June 2nd, that number drops to $13.5 million. And because Dylan went to school for math, he was able to determine that's $22.8 million, or he simply read the headline of this video. Nonetheless, I won't challenge the math that happened there with Dylan. And now all of a sudden, a surge of money is set to hit. And let me ask you it in this way, right? Because we can debate whether or not they should have or shouldn't have. But let me ask you this. After this season is over, what do you deem that they could do with the money that would be a success, right? Because obviously with the decision they made, the bet is laid. There's nothing you can do now. You can't take it back. So they're choosing to split this money for this year and for next year. We'll get into next year in a moment of what that looks like on the cap. But what has to happen this year in your mind for that decision to ultimately be a success?
I mean, I originally said last night on Nick Shine's show that I thought you should use the money to extend Garrett and Sauce, and then I realized that that money doesn't even come into play until after their fifth-year option next year. So it would have to be somebody who's going to be in addition to the team for this year. You can't obviously. I mean, maybe you could use some of the money for an extension on like AVT or John Simpson, but I don't think they're going to do that, right? And even Breece Hall, like they want to see these guys in action in the scheme before they start paying out these guys. So maybe by the end of the season, before we get into next offseason, you can see some like week 10 bye-week contracts doled out. Maybe if Jermaine Johnson, another fifth year, but like if AVT or John Simpson, let's use that example. Depending on what scheme they run, if there's a midseason update from like Adam Schefter that one of these two guards gets extended, that would be a positive use of this money, right? Or you go out and you add a guy who's probably a one-year flyer who's going to give you some juice. I'll throw out Zadarius Smith. He was with Aaron Glenn last year with the Detroit Lions. He's 32 years old, so he is an aging veteran. He's not part of the youth movement, but he had 63 pressures last year, which was good for 10th at the position, according to PFF. We could use somebody like that in the immediate until Jermaine Johnson is healthy. Let's just say by week 8 in Cincinnati, he might be 100%. And then if he's not, you have the backup plan just in case. So I'm attacking edge with this money. And then maybe like later on down the line in August, you can sign some waiver claim free agents that get cut when you go from 90 to 53. So you can also carry over some of this money. You're not going to pay $22 million to Zadarius Smith, in my opinion. He's not worth that price at 32. But you're gonna use, some of it maybe on a splash free agent, on some waiver claim free agents, maybe one extension mid-season. I'm not even sure if that's what their MO is going to be as a regime, is to extend players mid-season. And then you have to carry over some of that into 2026 for when the other part of that cap hit comes in for the Rodgers and Mosley stuff. So there's multiple ways you can kind of divvy it up, but I think there's still an addition left on this free agent market that could be of benefit for the Jets.
And Zadarius Smith makes a lot of sense. You have the AG connection. He's been wildly productive. I mean, look at the numbers. They speak for themselves of what he's been able to accomplish. Now, my guy of choice, and I've been hunting this guy for many years, Jadeveon Clowney. I love Jadeveon. What he could do against the run. I like the floor as a pass rusher. Now, the ceiling is in question. You don't get a lot of those kind of crazy spike seasons, but he's just had, I think I did the numbers for an article like a month ago or something, like he's had at least 3 sacks in like a cajillion years. And then that's just a floor. He's often been in that 5-6 range. So you just have this solid package plus what he could give against the run. So I'm a big Jadeveon Clowney guy, but we'll see if they make any of those potential dips of the toe in the water. Now, here's where they stand currently cap-wise. So they have $25 million cap space as of right now. That's middle of the league. That's 16th in the NFL. But after they get this 22.8, they will have $47.8 million. That would be the second most in the league. Now, here's the one context point. Obviously, other people also did post-June 1 caps around the league, so it's hard to factor all those in until all that money comes through. So the Jets may not exactly be second. They would be second just considering the Jets and no one else. But obviously, other post-June 1 cuts will be happening here. So I would say on the success thing of whether or not it's success or not, I agree with you. There's another splash to be made if someone wants to make a splash. I also think, obviously, if an injury befalls the Jets at a certain position, they would be in a different position with this money than without this money to be able to find a way to replace somebody. And then on the extensions, I guess it depends on the extension, whether it's Sauce or Garrett, because that's what Rich Cimini indicated in his column yesterday, that this new money opens the door for those extensions to sort of circle that on the calendar. And again, I guess it depends on structure, because to your point, Sauce and Garrett, we'll use those two as an example. Both of those guys have 2 years left on their deal, including the accepted fifth-year options already. So you could get really funky with a lot of that, depending on how much you try to eat up front, which I guess you could surge to do to take advantage of the money that you have, and then that'll maybe help you later. So I guess there's a lot of complicated ways to do that. Would you be in favor of some of those Sauce and Garrett extensions and utilizing the money in that way, or no?
Yeah, I think Garrett is somebody who I want to see extended, regardless of what the cap figure has looked like right
Okay.
now, and next week it'll look different, obviously. But mandatory minicamp is the 10th through 12th of June. I
Yep.
want to see Garrett get extended before minicamp. With
Ooh.
Sauce, I
Wow.
think it gets a little bit more dicey. I think Aaron Glenn wants to see him in the scheme as well as like a lot of these guys. But he did put on a lot of weight, according to Will Parkinson. He's hovering around 200 pounds now. So if he's playing with a lot more weight, obviously you got to hope he doesn't lose the speed that he's got. He's got long legs, so he's going to always have that stride. But if he loses that speed, it's going to hurt. But I think Sauce would be the perfect. Let's wait one more year and then give him the mega deal next year, because last year, obviously, let's admit it was a down year, but 2 all pros prior to that, you have to at least bank on some kind of regression to the mean where he's a pro bowler or an all pro next year. And then you really have more legs to stand on from his side of the table with him and his representation of like, hey, now 3 all pro seasons in my first 4 years. And the only one I didn't make it, the whole thing kind of fell apart for New York. Right. So there's more evidence for him to get a bigger payday where he can blow that Derek Stingley deal out of the water. And that doesn't necessarily mean good things for the Jets, because it just means they're doling out more money. But if I'm Sauce, I'm banking on myself regressing back to the mean. Whereas Garrett, I think you got to get done within the next like 2 weeks, make this guy happy. They both say all the right things, right? Sauce has talked
Of course.
about wanting to be here forever. They're showing up to the voluntary stuff. Garrett was like, you don't make this special by just having a bunch of individuals. You got to be a team. So they're buying into all this, and they're saying everything that makes fans like, pay them now, please pay them now. And it's like, we have to do this. But I would prioritize Garrett way over Sauce at this current moment until we see what happens. Not saying Sauce can't be good in the scheme. I think he's going to do exactly what we think he's going to do. He's going to go out there, press him, and choke him out, just like AZ was told by Aaron Glenn, right? I think they're both going to do that at some point this season. But I think with Sauce, you got to see it before you can buy back in. And if his tackling is even slightly improved from last year, it's going to be an immediate sign that he is worth all the extension dollars that are going to come his way. So I'd prioritize Garrett, then Sauce, and then you kind of get into the weeds a little bit with the 2 guards and Brees and Quincy, and those guys are more like mid-season wait and see / as soon as the offseason ends, we got to stop these guys from hitting free agency type of extensions.
Yeah, I would lean your way on the Garrett Wilson part of the conversation about he would be priority 1. But here's the thing, and we could get into this. I think it's complicated to pay Garrett Wilson. Let me rephrase. To pay Garrett Wilson, to not pay Garrett Wilson. Oh, that part's easy. Yeah, pay him. Okay, how much? Ooh, okay, now we're getting to funky land, because you have the bar of Jamar Chase plus, that's $40 million. That's crazy money, right? But then there's a lot of people in between that have been paid somewhere between $26.5 million all the way to that $40 million. Where does he sit? Garrett Wilson for the Jets has been record breaking. His first 3 years compared to anyone else has been more than ever. But when you compare it to the rest of the National Football League, it hasn't. He hasn't had 12, 13, 14, 1,500-yard seasons. He hasn't had double-digit touchdown seasons. He would say, what's my shitty quarterbacks, man? And the Jets are like, well, I'm not just going to pay and prognosticate if you had an all-pro quarterback that you had these fairy tale numbers. So both sides do have a little bit of a case here. How much would you pay Garrett Wilson? Per year, APY would be what? DT would be what, Dylan Terriman?
It would be 31.25 million. And I look at, what was it, the Brandon Ayuk deal of 4 for 120. I would just go slightly above that, 4 for 125, and you get to 31.25 million. If I'm not doing my math completely wrong this morning, I haven't finished my coffee yet. So if I'm off by a million,
your point.
if I'm off by a million, which I think I'm right, 31.25.
Have
million.
conviction, Dylan. Screw the calculator nerds in the back. Whatever you want to say, you believe.
It's terrible because I did go to school for math. I did like
you
an
did?
accelerated.
Oh, I was sort
of
joking.
Accelerated math program in 8th grade, and me and my friend didn't take it seriously. But but I did go to school for math at some point in my short school career. But 31.25 million is what I'm sticking with Garrett. You could even get up to 32, 33 million, and I still think that gets him in like the top 10 range. It's not Jamar Chase money, which I don't think a lot of people are deserving of the Jamar Chase money. And obviously he benefits from having a great quarterback like Joe Burrow, but even like the Justin Jeffersons of the world, like outside of Sam Darnold, he hasn't had, fantastic quarterback play himself. So there's a path for guys to get big extensions. And Garrett, I mean, it's got to be over 30, maybe not 35 to 40, but it's got to be over 30. And with the way that the market is going, the cap space is just kind of increasing exponentially every single year. And I know they're talking about redoing the CBA to stop teams like the Eagles from doing what they're doing. But I do think there's a $30+ million extension waiting for Garrett.
And if there is, he would be the 9th receiver in that $30+ million category. Here are the receivers: Jamar Chase making 40.25, Justin Jefferson making 35, CeeDee Lamb's making 34, DK Metcalf is making 32.99, AJ Brown at 32, Amon-Ra at 30.002. Tyreek Hill at 30 flat, Brandon Ayuk at 30 flat, and then we're getting to other categories. So if we gave him your number, it'd basically be right there with Amon-Ra St. Brown, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'd be just outside the top 5 at highest paid. If we went to your froggy 32, 33, all of a sudden he's jumping inside the top 4, top 5 of the highest paid receivers in football. So interesting. Okay.
Right. Yeah, well, maybe top 4 is not where he should be, but definitely top 12 to top 8. So I'm okay with the 9 rank for him with 31.25. So yeah, top 10. I mean, definitely he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, and I understand there's a lot of discourse around that specifically. I don't think he's less than top 12. Like at worst, he's the 12th best wide receiver, and he's proven it. Right? There's been no quarterback. Aaron Rodgers throwing 600 times last year, and he broke like 1,100 yards while still having a 800-yard wide receiver too in Devontae Adams, and he was taking all the targets away from Garrett. So if we saw a full workload from Garrett last year, that number should have easily been 1,300 to 1,400 yards, probably an extra 3 touchdowns if they were in a good simpatico relationship toward the end of the season. It wasn't that way, obviously, but I think Garrett is very deserved of being rewarded with the new contract just based on everything he's given us so far.
Just to clarify, if he had 31 million and change, he would be the 6th highest paid wide receiver in football. When what I currently have in front of me from Over the Cap.
Oh wow! I mean, I'm still cool with 6. Once you get into the top 5, it's kind of tough. But yeah, right outside the top 5 to top 10. Because think about it, in a couple years, there's going to be other guys up for extensions. I know. I think Drake London is going to be up for an extension too. So like, if you get the Garrett stuff done, then it just forces the Falcons to pay Drake London more. And I'm looking at guys like Drake London. I think Garrett is better than Drake London. So let them have to pay 31, 32, 33 million to Drake London. That's kind of just where the league is going. 30 million used to be quarterback money, and now it's about 4 different position money. You get corner money, you get wide receiver money, you get edge money sometimes is up in the 30 million. So it's like the game is changing from a financial standpoint where 30 isn't so hard to swallow, especially 2 or 3 years down the line. If Garrett continues on this trajectory, it's going to be a steal. It's going to be like Quincy Williams all over again.
Or we could do the Jerry Jones thing and just wait and try to see if everyone else could get paid first and then pay Garrett Wilson, huh?
No, that is what we definitely don't need to do.
Okay.
And that's the part that like the cash poor and cash rich, I guess to say, owners, and that's the whole CBA thing that they're talking about. Like there are cash poor owners. Obviously no billionaire is poor, but like they don't want to dole out that cash and put it into escrow when that $100 million contract hits for Garrett Wilson. I don't think Woody's afraid to do that, right? And he sees what has been going on, and the Philadelphia Eagles are the prime example of this. They're backloading all of their contracts till the end of the CBA when all these cap numbers and the TV deals are just going to be so ridiculously high that it doesn't matter how much dead cap money you have on the books, because it's going to be like 15% of your total cap dollars, whereas right now it would look like 30 to 35% of your total cap dollars, and that's not good management of your football team. But the Eagles are doing it the right way, where they might change the rule just to make it more, I guess, fair, but to me, I don't think they should in 2029 change the CBA.
Yeah, fair enough. We got 400 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube. We have Dylan Terriman here, baby, on a Memorial Day here on the program. Appreciate you. We talked about earlier the ghosts of yesterday will come haunting the Jets next year. And here are the official numbers on the cap for next year. Aaron Rodgers is going to count $35 million against the cap. Ooh, disgusting. And then CJ Mosley would be $7.65 million. So you have $42.65 million on the caps for 2 guys that aren't going to be here. Yike-a-roonies. But hey, that's part of the sacrifice, and why the Jets, to me, have to make this worth it. By making that decision, you have to do things again we won't be able to determine it on June 2nd. Clearly they made the right choice or wrong choice in my mind. Extensions, those, to your point, John Simpson and AVT are both set to be free agents. Is that why they're torn around with this Josh Myers, Joe Tippmann thing, that maybe one of them could kick out? Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. But what they do with potential extensions, what they do with the emergency fund for a potential injury, all of that could potentially factor in here, as well as possibilities for the New York Jets. So we could sort of evaluate where that's going to potentially be here. But yeah, those are some enormous figures there. Dylan Terraman, our math expert here on Boy Green Daily.
No. Definitely not the math expert, but 42 million is what, roughly just under 20% of the total cap. So that's using this year's cap figure. So you assume it goes up another 15, 20 million potentially. I know It's been kind of really jumping the last couple seasons
very
with the
much
TV
so,
deals.
Yeah. Because
and
of COVID too, and catching back up, right?
Yeah. Right, exactly. That was the only down year they've had in the cap system since I think it started, was the COVID year. And obviously we know why that happened. But if that figure jumps up another 20 million, now we're talking about what, like 250, 260, maybe even 270 million on the cap. So that $42 million figure of dead, obviously that you got to assume they're going to add some more dead money along the way. Not as high as these figures, obviously, but that's only going to account for like 20%, maybe even like 18 to 17% of the cap. So I think that's important to note, is the number itself looks very large at 42 million, but in the total piece of the pie, it's probably not as big as we think. And there's still going to be room for maneuverability. Now you just add the element of potentially getting a quarterback on a rookie deal, and you offset a lot of those problems with the financial situations of the Jets, and you have a lot more room to build a roster around a young quarterback.
Dylan, I have a two-part question for you. Number one, are you a film junkie? Would you categorize yourself?
I'm a film guy. I'm a junkie of different sorts, not so much the nose stuff.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I just had an itch, and as I was asking the film junkie thing, I was just saying, are you a film junkie? That's all.
Yeah. I definitely will get into the film. My Leonard Taylor III breakdown hit last week. It was about a 30-minute clip. I was using my new Epic Pen stylus, and I was drawing all the plays up on the screen. It's honestly so much fun, like being able to like pause the videos, draw them up and stuff. So the All 22 is my jam. I subscribe to all the college All 22s that I can find on Patreon, because it's like so safeguarded nowadays. And I feel like it's become a little bit easier to get the college All 22. But yeah, any All 22, I'll break down for hours. I was watching Byron Cowart and I couldn't find any clips of him. So I'm in the weeds right now in May.
Yeah, well, they're the only place to be. That's for sure. Well, the reason why I asked you about being a film junkie is because I saw the Jets were pro tush push, and there weren't many that were pro tush push. It was an elite group of 10, and the Jets were one of them. Do you think that says something like, "Ooh, the Jets have a plan here"? Or it could have just been for the shield, and hey, if we can't stop it, we're not just going to try to ban it out of the league. My first thought was, maybe Tanner Engstrand, Justin Fields. Rich Samina shared some of those numbers of Justin Fields' success rate in tush-push scenarios. Could there be something cooking there, perhaps?
Yeah,
DT?
I think you got to average 1.5 tush pushes a game with Justin Fields, so maybe around 25 for the season. I think that would be fine. I know Breece Hall struggled in short yardage situations last year, and it was very obvious when they wanted to do that with Braylon Allen. It felt like anytime they went under center with Braylon Allen on the field, you knew it was going to number 0. So they were very predictable on many facets last year, let's be honest. But I think adding the tush push element with Justin Fields, who was 11 out of 12, you have to at least consider it, because if you line up in that formation or something that looks like that, the defense is immediately going to key in on, okay, tush push, let's stop the A gap, let's fill everything up and try to block this up the right way. And now that allows for variations, right? We saw the Eagles get a little creative and build off the tush push. And when I look at the Tanner Engstrand and the Detroit Lions with Ben Johnson last year, they were very creative in their variations of how they did things. They had Penei Sewell going out for a damn offensive line pass. Like I'd never seen something like that before when I was watching. And that was one of the games that I watched of Byron Cowart. And I'm just like, the creativity of the Lions offense, where Goff faked a toss left, turned his whole back to the defense and threw a power slant to Laporta in the end zone. Like those little nuances, those are the variations that Ben Johnson and Tanner Engstrand are going to come up, or Engstrand will come up with because of his influence with Ben Johnson. Now you add in the tush push specifically, you can turn that into almost like a direct snap to Breece Hall, where Justin is just off to the side of the center's butt a little bit, and he does a direct snap to Breece Hall or Braylon Allen, and now everybody's crashing down into the A gap to stop Justin, and you're leaking out with the running back to the left or the right. So I'm a big advocate that they kept it. I don't see why you should punish one team like the Eagles for running it. And the Bills voted against it, and they were the second highest team. So there's very mixed opinions on the tush push, but I'm very much in favor of keeping it as long as the Jets are going to utilize it. Now, if they voted to keep it and they don't ever even try it with Justin, it's like, all right, what the hell are we doing here, right? So I hope that because they voted yes, that they at least try to consider it, and then you can, because it just creates variations, and you hold the defense, and make them hold on a second before they have to diagnose the play, and that gives you an upper hand. So Engstrand should be all over the tush push and all the variations coming with it.
All right, let's give a shout out here to Ritsumi for my next question here, who put this in a Sunday morning column. When it comes to undrafted free agents, a direct quote from Ritsumi's piece, the amount of players guarantee often indicates how much in demand that player generated after the draft, or how in demand they were after the draft. He said, some perspective, not many players receive more than a $200,000 guarantee. So when you're talking about UDFAs, that's a benchmark. That's a watermark that people look at and go, oh, that's pretty serious. The Jets gave out 3 such UDFA contracts that included at least a $200,000 guarantee. I'm going to give you those 3 names, Dylan, and you tell me who is the most hidden of those gems that could make an impact, because the Jets, while it's not Darren Mooch and Aaron Glenn, they've had a recent history of UDFAs making the roster and making noise. So Tony Adams, Bryce Huff, there's been a long list of guys. We could go even deeper than that to find some of the guys. And here are the 3. And you tell me if any of these 3, or who is the most worthy of these 3 that we should be talking about and keeping an eye out for. Leonda Wiegand, who got $250,000. He's from Germany, our International Pathway Program player. Defensive tackle Peyton Page out of Clemson, a very talented young man. And finally, I wrote a piece about him yesterday, Jamarcus Weston, who apparently has played wide receiver, linebacker, safety, and so let me make sure I get all those right. So wide receiver, yeah, safety, linebacker, pass rusher, and core special teamer. So he's played it'd probably be easier to have listed the positions he did not play. That might have been an easier list there. So Dylan, you have those 3 as possibilities. Each of those 3 get at least $200,000 guaranteed from the Jets, which according to Rich is a sizable number. And that means the Jets believe in these players. Who of these 3 do you believe in the most? Again, Leonda Wiegand, German offensive lineman, International Pathway Program. Defensive tackle Peyton Page out of Clemson, or the former Florida pass rusher / every other position I just named, Jamarcus Weston. Who do you like the most? You're on mute there. Sorry. This is probably the most riveting stuff you provided all show, and you're on mute, and we were unfortunate.
I'm truly shocked by the Jamarcus Weston stuff, and I have not gotten into the film on Weston. So I wasn't going to say him, but now there's actually some legs to stand on with that. And I'll also add in the element that they added Bird Sherrill, the staffer from Florida. So there's some familiarity there with Weston, where maybe he can vouch for him as well and say, hey, I was in the building with this guy last year. I know his work ethic. He's going to be everything that we want and more, especially as a core special teamer. But my guy right now would be Leander Wiegand. I think the fact that you are showing that much strength, 38 bench reps, you have at least it's an insane number. It was 5 more than what the best offensive lineman did at the combine this year.
Correct.
So I think if he could slip on as your 10th offensive lineman, that'd be great. He's also the International Pathway Program, so you can use an exemption for him on your practice squad and keep a guy like Jamarcus Weston, and you can really, finesse the roster a little bit that way too. But I would say Wiegand, just because I think the D-line, for some of the holes that we do think it has, they're more top line holes, right? We want a Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney. We don't necessarily need DT5 or a edge 6 coming into the fold, right? We want more of a top line guy, especially with JJ Hurt. So I would go Wiegand, and then I would go Weston, and then I would go Peyton Page. I'm not too familiar with Page either. Local guy, he's from Clemson. So now that I'm in South Carolina, I got to do more digging on the Tigers and the Gamecocks prospects. But I mean, 200,000, we just talked about the cap for a while. Maybe 200,000 is becoming not so, okay, this is eye-opening money for UDFAs, and maybe we'll see in the future they're getting closer to 300,000 or 400,000 moving forward. But I think it is intriguing that they did 3 UDFA signings of this price, because they normally do maybe 1, and it's really easy to tell, okay, this is the guy that they really, really like. But now with a lot of unknowns, give me the trench guy in Vegan, and if he can be your offensive lineman 10 and he pushes for like a backup guard job, I think that would be perfect. So I'd choose him.
Yeah, and it's interesting because initially his, I did a full piece, you guys, or a show rather, where I explained all the international pathway program rules, when they came in, how it all works, and you guys should go back to that show. But long story short, when he was first coming over from Germany, he was reported as an offensive tackle, and I went, interesting. I sort of kept that in the back of my head. Then as the Jets officially signed him, he went to guard, and I went, maybe he's just versatile, could play both. Maybe that's how they envision him. Sometimes, when you announce the draft pick and a guy plays a certain, Darren Lee comes to mind. There's a wonderful memory of, was he going to be inside linebacker? Was he going to be stand-up edge rusher? And how Todd Bowles immediately explained it. So sometimes that gives you like a little hint of what the player's supposed to be. So I'll be kind of curious to see where he stands, because my biggest question mark for me on this Jets roster, and we'll let you answer that, Dylan, then we'll open up the phone lines, is backup left tackle. I feel good about the starting 5. Those all feel good to me. I like that Josh Myers is this backup interior offensive lineman. He was the full-time starting center for the Packers for the last 4 years. He was their top backup. That sounds great. I am a big fan, and I know I'm in a minority on this, on Chukwuma Okorafor. He was a solid tackle for Pittsburgh for a 3-year stretch, and then we had the New England stuff last year. Come on, who wouldn't want to play in New England, those bastards? So that makes a lot of sense to me. But he didn't seem like he enjoyed playing left tackle. So to me, we're one injury away from Max Mitchell, Carter Warren. I don't know who the top left tackle backup is, but the fact that I don't know scares the bleep out of me. Now, everything can't be perfect. We can't have a perfect backup for every position, but that's the one that gives me a little bit of heebie-jeebie, because I don't know who jumps over there if we have a left tackle injury. So if Leonda Vegan can play a little left tackle, okay, phenomenal. I'm feeling a little bit better. If he can't, again, that's the one hole that I feel sort of concerned about. What is the one positional group that, in terms of depth, that sort of gives you a little bit of hesitation?
No, that's definitely fair to your point about Olu, because Carter Warren is kind of scary. If he has to come in and play. We saw what it looked like at the end of last season when Fashanu had his foot injury. I'll go a different position still on offense, though.
Okay.
Tight end. Like, if Mason Taylor doesn't hit the ground running fully.
Stone Smart.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really feel great about that, right? Or Jeremy Rucker. And it's like they're two very, very unknowns at the tight end 2 and 3 position. And based on everything we would assume about this offense, they're going to need that second guy so bad. And maybe it's like Andrew Beck as like a tight end / fullback hybrid, which again doesn't incite a lot of confidence. But to me, it would be tight end because, one, I think it's a very weak position, even with Mason Taylor in the fold. And that's, again, not saying anything bad about Mason Taylor, but how many times do tight ends come in outside of Brock Bowers and he's not even a tight end, he's like a power slot. How many times do these tight ends come in and really hit the ground running and make such an impact in their first year where it's like, okay, we feel really good about this? I don't know if we're going to get that feeling with Mason Taylor. We very well could, but everything we've seen from Jeremy Ruckert, if Ruckert gave us 250 receiving yards this year, I think that would be exceeding my expectations for him. Stone Smart, he's not going to give you much in the block game. He's more of that power slot. Him and Alan Lazard, to me, are kind of similar from a pass catching perspective, not even close with the run blocking perspective. I don't think Stone Smart's going to give you that juice in the run game. So we really need a blocker at tight end. Kuntz,
Zach Kuntz. Zach Kuntz.
No.
Give us a little Kuntz action.
We got to get rid of that stuff. We got to maybe get a new tight end in here. And maybe that's where a waiver claim could come in and sneak over and be a guy in August that gets cut. They go from 90 to 53. So that's, hundreds of players who get cut or waived on that wave of August. So I'm looking at tight end. That makes me really nervous if we get an injury to Mason Taylor or if he's just not fully up to speed in the playbook.
Fair enough. All right. We've had a lot of great stuff here from Dylan Terraman. Again, 500 people now in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, and show your support for Dylan Terraman's brand new YouTube channel as well. Me and him agreed before the show that he would give me 75% of all royalties moving forward on his YouTube channel, which was awesome. Very kind of Dylan to do that, which is great. Very generous. But anywho, we're going to go to the phone lines. The phone calls will now be open after this.
Boy Green, daily, Boy Green daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green daily, Boy Green daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets. Let's go.
You heard that, handsome devil hep. Let's go. The phone lines are now open. That's youtube.com/boygreen25. If you'd like to call in, we're streaming live on my boygreen25 Facebook and Twitter pages, respectively. If you'd like to call in, hop on over here to YouTube. Do you want to ask this goateed bastard a question? Then for God's sakes, get it in. And let's see what's popping. All right, let's go up first. It's EZD giving us MTV Cribs view of his home. Wow, what's up, EZ?
Oh, good morning.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It was a rough night.
Oh, okay.
Back was hurting a little bit. All right.
Okay. Yeah. From carrying the show, I should have put you on the injury report, but appreciate it. All right, EZD, good to see you, pal.
That's all right. I'm good. So I had some thoughts.
Share your thoughts. Yeah, this is a great place to do it. Sure.
Smart's a good tight end. I don't have a problem with him.
He's a good tight end, Dylan. Read the room, pal. Okay.
He's a good tight end. I mean, he's not, an all pro, but he's a good tight end. He's a top 15, top 20 tight end.
Boom. Top 15, top 20 tight end. 100%. Yeah. I trust you, EZD, more than Dylan Terraman over here. You should have been the guest. Top 15, top 20. Hell yeah. Nice.
well, I mean, he doesn't suck.
No, he definitely doesn't suck.
He doesn't drop the ball.
I mean, here's the thing that we just sort of have to add to the context of Stone Smart. The Chargers had him. They had him tender. They were like, nah, we're good. And they just let him go, which I know there's like love stories about you're supposed to let go of the one you love the most. I'm not sure if that's what happened here on Stone Smart, but I mean, that's sort of weird that they just didn't even he could have been on the 90-man roster and they just let him go to be a free agent who the Jets then scooped up. That's just sort of weird to me.
It's because we recognize the talent.
Okay. All right.
No, that's fair. I guess to me, it's more of the schematics of tight end. I prefer the inline Y tight ends that also give you F capabilities, which is more of the slot position, right? I would rather have the Y over the F, and then you follow the money. They only gave Stone Smart 1.35 with $250,000 guaranteed. So it's not like they fully believe in Stone Smart as their guy either. Can he give you an element? Absolutely. He can give you an element that we thought Kuntz was supposed to give us, being that tall RAS score guy. So I do think there is a spot for him in the offense, but in 12 personnel, when you're going wing right with two tight ends attached to the line of scrimmage, I don't want Stone Smart being that guy, right? I would rather it be Mason Taylor and Jeremy Ruckert in some capacity. And then I would take Andrew Beck playing tight end attached to the line of scrimmage over Stone Smart. But when it comes to pass catching, Stone Smart might be the second best pass catcher on the team. We haven't seen that element from Jeremy Ruckert really flourish in the NFL. Not much of Ruckert has flourished at the NFL level. So there is a pathway for Stone Smart to make his catches be that kind of. I'm sorry.
I would put Stone Smart in the slot because you're not going to get a linebacker to cover him. That's not going to happen.
Yep. And you need to bring a safety down in. Yep.
That means they have to put a safety on him. So if they put Stone Smart in the slot and then they have a run play, Smart. I mean, they could confuse the line and just mess everything up by doing stuff like that. I'm talking on the defense. The other thing is people are talking about with the tush push. I believe that that Justin Fields is about as big as Hurt, isn't he?
Yeah, let me see weight wise. I'll look that up right now.
He has the stature of like a Hurts, but I don't think he's got that power in his lower half. I mean, Jalen Hurts squats 600 plus pounds. I don't think Justin does that. And Justin has more speed than Jalen does. But when you're looking at a physical pro comp for Justin Fields, the body type does say more Jalen Hurts. I think he's an inch or two taller as well. Justin Fields is a tall dude. He's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'3".
Big dude.
Justin Fields this is what he's listed at. So Justin Fields is 6'3", 227 pounds. Jalen Hurts is 6'1", 223 pounds. So Fields is taller than him, but they're basically the same.
That means that Fields is playing at 230, 235. I mean, the way at the beginning of the season, he's hitting the weight room. And also, I mean, all right, guys, I'm not a proponent of this. Like I said, I throw out ideas for us to talk about because people, when I throw out you don't know this, but Boy Green knows it. Sometimes I will throw in scenarios just to talk about, to see maybe something like that could work. Okay, well, if you're going to do the tush push and you're worried about Justin Fields being more of an edge runner than a up the middle runner, what about a direct snap to agent zero with a fullback and a tight end standing behind him to push his ass through?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that, like, you have to work in the tush push and then variations off of it. And I think that's what Inkstrand's biggest goal would be, using the tush push. And that's why I hope they voted yes to it. If you can line up Justin just a shade off the center and he still looks like he's going to take the snap, but then you direct snap it to Breece or Braylon, and you still have all those guys, whether he goes up the middle or he takes it to the outside the tackle box, you have variations of the tush push. And I think they need to get very creative to earn those short yardage situations that they failed miserably at last year.
Now, one of my favorite
for this. Everyone's going
to I'll say this easy. One of my favorite trick plays to run is the quarterback initially goes under center and then he fakes like 54's mine, 54's mine, and everyone's looking at Justin Fields, and then he goes under the guard and no one notices it at first, and then he's like hut, and then the ball
behind the line like that. Yeah.
100%, and then he goes straight to Braylon Allen, and people are looking at Fields and he's like fake tush pushing, and then everyone gets distracted. You could get it off the left tackle. So I've seen that before. We used to run that one in high school, and I love that one. That was one of my favorites.
The other thing is, well, first I want to make a statement, and then I'm going to ask a question. All right, about Breece Hall. Okay, this not that I don't like Breece Hall, but he really hasn't proven to me that he is the be-all, get-all guy at this point. However, with this new revamped O-line and better O-line coaching, hopefully, I want to see, before I even offer Breece Hall any more money, what he does this year with a different coaching staff and a better offensive line. He's got a lot to prove this year. Not that I think he's a bad player, but he does have a lot to prove. A lot of times last year, he got 1-2 yard gains, lost for a yard. I mean, when he breaks it, and once he gets through it, he breaks it, he's great. But he hasn't really shown that ability to really just break through on his own, get to that second level, and make shit happen.
To me,
I'm sorry. I just haven't really seen that from him.
And no, I think it's a mutual decision. I don't think Breece wants to get paid or the Jets want to pay him. And here's what I mean. If Breece is going to get paid right now, I don't think Breece is going to like the number the Jets offer. And on the Jets side,
he doesn't want the money now either. This is a prove.
Well, I'm sure he would want the money if he could get whatever he wanted, but he can't. I think coming off his 3 years of question marks, there's been glimpses, but it hasn't been consistent. If the Jets paid him money, I don't think he would like the number the Jets would offer, and vice versa. So I think it's in everyone's best interest. To your point, let's see how he rolls with this coaching staff. Let's see how he does fully motivated, because he's in a contract year, and he can't. If he balls out, he's going to get paid by somebody, whether it's the Jets or somebody else. So I think that's the real evaluation there.
I mean, because watching games last year, I mean,
hey, 1 second. Go ahead, Dylan. Yeah.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, if Breece, to your point, I don't think he would love the number he would get now, because it might be 10 million, maybe 12 million if he's lucky. And the franchise tag price is 13 million for this season. So you assume it goes up maybe 14 or 15 million based on new contracts that are going to happen. Why not give him a 2-year, $28 to $30 million contract? And it's kind of the same as using your franchise tag on him twice. And then you keep him in the fold. It's more guaranteed money than he probably would normally get, but he's able to at least play out 2 more seasons with the Jets and prove he's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's true. All right, go ahead. And what is your question out of this, Easy?
So, what would you guarantee, Brees, if you were to use him this year? I mean, if you were to pay him this year, if he was to accept the contract this year or even next year, what percentage of that contract would you guarantee him? 20, 30, 50%? I mean, what do you
It's
think?
based on the
question.
usage. So like if they use him as like the 65 to 70% split at the running back position, maybe it's not 75% guaranteed, but it's 60% of that contract guaranteed. So whatever 60% of 30 million is, that seems okay to me, where more like the entire first year is going to have to be guaranteed. We know that. So 2026 is locked in. We'll just call it an even 15 for Brees. Then you get the other 1 year 15 for the 2027 season. Maybe let's say about 5 to 6 of that is guaranteed. So you're looking at like 60, maybe 70% of the contract if he's the primary back. If they're
Correct,
doing
right. That's
the
what I was
full
going to
split,
say.
if they're
Yeah.
doing a full split and Braylon Allen is getting way more time than he did last year, and they see things where it's like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that gets dicey. Like, how much do you guarantee? You're still going to want to keep 2026 guaranteed, but then maybe only 2 or 3 million is guaranteed for that second contract. And if he doesn't live up to everything in 2026 with more of a committee approach, you can cut out and trim around the dead cap of him in 2027. So it's all based on how much playing time they split it up. If he's the 75 plus back and they're kind of splitting the other 25% of the reps with Allen and Davis, then it shows that they want to keep him around as the bell cow. And then that number increases to like 20 to 25 million of the 30 million guaranteed.
Right. Yeah, that's it to me. We need to see, before I'm willing to go anywhere on any number, I need to see him prove it to another level to get some of that money that old DT here is thrown out, which again could certainly be possible from that perspective. All right. We got some memberships raining from the high heavens, and then we'll get to some more phone calls here before we get Dylan Terraman off the program. Let's go to J-Boy, 5-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships raining on it. Hell yeah. 5 memberships or more, we get a little bit of this action. Hell yeah, baby. Here are the 5 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to our guy J-Boy here for gifting. You guys can feel free to continue to gift. Our guy J-Boy's got another 5 raffle tickets for our contest, which I'll show on the screen here in just a moment. But here are the 5 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Party with Peg and Hardy just got a membership. Gangrene Catskills, NYJ Dave, T-Town Jet, Kyle Clifton, all receiving Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Hey now, you love to see it. And by the way, here's what you guys are competing for. Baby, throw it up on the screen. A New York Jets commemorative game coin from last season. Who wouldn't want to remember what happened last season? Now you can in coin form. And that comes with a certificate of authenticity from the National Football League, plus a full-size signature football that is a full-size NFL football signed by the whole team last year. Beautiful. One lucky person will win that on June 1st. All your memberships coming through and super chat questions and things of that nature, all fair game. The raffle tickets are $2.99 a pop. So y'all feel free to take full advantage of that. Let's go back to the phone lines. Pep joined us here on the show. What's up, Pep?
Hey, Paul. Hey, Dylan. I caught Dylan's show at Boy Green. It's a pretty good show. You guys should check it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
And was gonna say, Kyle Clifton, he's a huge man. I mean,
Yeah,
I caught him. I caught him sitting next to Jake Asman. I thought Jake Asman was a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah.
I
can see that. Yeah.
He's huge, man.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
the guy who's sticking out as a defensive tackle possibility starter, Cowart, was he a free agent from Pig? Can you know anything about him, Dylan?
Yeah, so I had a comment on one of my YouTube videos when I put out Leonard Taylor's film breakdown to break down some Byron Cowart. What I learned from him over the weekend, he was a partial kind of rotational player for the first 11 weeks in Chicago. Then around week 12, his snaps spiked from about 12 to 15 a game to over 30 a game. So he was able to at least supplant somebody on the depth chart in Chicago last year. I cut on weeks 12, 13, and 14 of the all 22 yesterday, trying to find some clips. I watched 3 full games and I only found one play where I felt like he really made such a good effort on a tackle for loss against a wide zone concept run. So I do think there's an element of him that he could be better in this system. I think all the reports from OTAs are that he's creating a lot of pressure and that he could be the projected starter by Zach Rosenblatt. I don't necessarily want to go that far with Cowart based on my exposure to him, but if he can compete with Leonard Taylor to be the third defensive tackle, I think you're in a good position. I would still say the leader in the clubhouse there is Derek Nottie, but Cowart is going to make this roster. I'm trying to see how much they gave him in a contract. They gave him 1 year, 1.4 million, and there's no real guarantees on that number. So they don't necessarily have a ton of belief in the position as a whole. They added Jay Tufele, who's 1.2 million as well. Nottie was 1.4, but he got almost $500,000 guaranteed. So following the money, I would say it would go Nottie, Cowart / Taylor, and then Tufele kind of picking up the back end. But they also have Fedarian Mathis. So you have 6 guys here who are lobbying for 2 positions really in DT3 and DT4. But Cowart, to me, he does have enough juice in both the pass and the run where he could be a rotational guy. The defensive line isn't going to rotate this highly, right? It's not going to be a 55-45 split between your 2 defensive lines. It's probably going to be closer to 65-35 or even 70-30. So we're not going to see Cowart in such an expanded role where we saw these guys like Javon Kinlaw and Solomon Thomas last year. So if you see Byron Cowart playing 30% of the snaps, that might be a perfect, even middle for him where he's not overdoing it with the volume where it's taking away his production, and you got to find that middle ground. So he's going to make the roster, but I don't know if he's up there with, Quinnen Williams on the starting line on 1st and 10 week 1 against the Steelers.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Hep. Appreciate you. Again, Dylan hates Byron Cowart's guts. Good Lord, have mercy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Screw you, Byron Cowart. All right, let's get to another call here to wrap up Dylan's adventure here on the program. Indy Jets. Oh, boy.
Indy. Uh-oh.
My fellow South Carolinian brother. How you doing? BG, good morning.
I'm doing well, right, man.
We got all that together. A former South Carolinian myself, some Goose Creek Somerville action. Salute out there to the universe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to disagree with you on wait. You keep saying Breece Hall needs to prove something. He's proved it when given the opportunity. You can't tell me a running back needs to prove something when you give him the ball 10 times a game. You can't evaluate it. You can't evaluate what he's done with those carries. Matters more. Give the guy 20 carries. Give him 17 to 20 carries a game, and look what he did in his rookie year before he got hurt. If you go back through the games in 2023 where he had high attempts, sure. He did a lot with it. He did what we wanted him to do. They just we end up with an offensive coordinator that scratches his head and goes, "Oh, I didn't know he could catch the ball." You can't sit there and evaluate a running back based off the ineptitude of Nathaniel Hackett.
And maybe you're right, Indy, because it makes no sense that Breece Hall he didn't have a single game last year with 20 carries. Now, I was about to ask it to the room, but then you just mentioned, Nathaniel Hackett's ineptness. I guess that must be the answer to the question, unless the Jets knew something like, oh, boy, we don't want to lean on him that heavy because we think blah is going to happen. And again, the potential only blah that comes to my mind is he didn't look healthy last year. It looked like he was dealing with something. I don't know what it was. Just when he had the opportunities to hitch his giddy up, and I'm like, oh, we're about to see that next gear. Oh, wow, we didn't. So that to me was spurty. Was it Hackett ineptitude? Is it some sort of secret injury we didn't know about? It's hard to determine.
Okay. So I went through all the games last year, play by play, just for this one stat.
Okay.
Do you know how many times Breece Hall in 17 games got the ball back to back?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
I chart every offensive play. Ooh. So if you gave me like 5 minutes, I could find out this information, but I would say that it's less than 14 times all season.
Less than 14?
Yeah, probably less than 8. Because
you're not even close.
Yeah, because
you're not even close.
I'd say probably less than 8 times.
So what is it?
3.
Yep, there it is.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
3 times they've gave the ball Brees Hall back-to-back times. Okay, so if you take a running back that can't get into a groove,
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, and look at and Dylan and what's even greater, what's even a more just an asinine stat for you to look up is how many times the Jets ran the ball back to back with any running back. Go from Brees Hall to Braylon out, and that stat would, it didn't matter. I don't remember what game it was. I think Minnesota. I don't remember. Braylon Allen starts out first play 9 yards, right? So we're 2nd and 1.
Sure.
The 2nd and 1. The next 2 plays, Aaron Rodgers passes.
Ah.
And that's and that's Rodgers. That's not anything that has to do with Brees or the running back group or anything like that. So when that makes my my point
to that is if you're going to evaluate a running back, you've got to give him the gosh darn ball. Sorry, BG.
That's right. Yeah.
And go back to Keyshawn Johnson. Just give me the damn ball.
No, I agree. And I'm looking at the Lions stats over here for their running backs. Montgomery, their backup, essentially to Gibbs, had 2 games with 19 or more carries last year.
Wow.
Jahmyr Gibbs, who I would comp closer to Brees Hall, had 6 games of 19 or more carries. Wow. I want to see the Jahmyr Gibbs workload from Brees Hall before I want to pay him $25-30 million guaranteed. Would I give Brees a 1-year extension that's 100% guaranteed for this season? Based on what I've seen from him, yes, I would. But the usage that I think the Jets coaching staff has done for Brees is not conducive of that contract. And that's because of Rodgers and the offensive schemes and maybe the offensive line play not helping him up front. So I think this could be Brees's biggest year from a production perspective, not just in the run game, but in the pass game too. I saw the graphic that 33rd team put out where he led the league in flare, wheel, and angle routes.
Yes,
if you
I saw
get
that,
Brees back up to form in the run game, and you add also another element with the pass game that we didn't really see with Rodgers other than a couple times here and there with Brees. Yeah, Brees to me could be close to a 2,000 all-purpose yard back and be worth every single dollar that's given to him in the upcoming offseason. But I honestly think it's beneficial for Brees to wait and play out some of these games in the new system, see how many times they are going to give him the ball. Because if he's getting 22 touches overall, not just rushes, but maybe 7 targets and 15 carries in week 1, that's a harbinger of what they're going to do and continue to do with him all season. And then they sprinkle Braylon Allen in. Now, if they do 9 carries for Brees, 11 carries between Allen and Davis, that's not conducive for me to want to pay him all that money. But from a talent perspective, I don't think Brees played with a ton of confidence because of the injury last year and the offensive line and just the predictability of the offense in total. So I agree to your point. There is a lot more positives with Brees, but based on what happened exactly last year, it's hard to say he's worth every dollar that he's going to command from the Jets.
And Indy, hang on tight just for 1 second, because Dylan, I see the time. So Dylan, I know you got a dip. We'll keep the show going, but Dylan, give a final plug here to the 600 people watching live here on Memorial Monday, and I know a ton others watch after the fact and the audio only version of this podcast. So please give us some plugs before you dip.
Absolutely. First off, Paul, thank you. You're a huge support of the channel. You've been A1 day one. You were my first comment on my first live stream with Buffalo. So
hey, that's going on my gravestone. I just want to make sure that's known. That's one of the top lines on the gravestone. So nice.
Yes. And you were the very first subscriber to the channel. So I also appreciate that. Chat, I appreciate everybody in here that showed me love. I see a lot of you guys popping up on my subscriber list in my chat when I did the live stream with Buffalo last week. So I can't thank you guys enough for all the love. Indy, I appreciate you as well. I know your Pacers kind of lost last night, but it is what it is. I think they'll bounce back. I still think they win the series overall, but that
was all on coaching. That was all on coaching, Dylan. That was a coaching error from the second half on. That was not
and
a.
we know what bad coaching does to your sports.
We recognize
wins.
bad coaching.
100%. And then the second half, it speaks volumes, right? Because if you can't win in the third and fourth quarter of ball games, it's not going to be good for you. So I appreciate everybody that's tuned in at Dylan Terraman on YouTube. Go give me a follow. I will be putting out probably content either tonight or tomorrow morning on my channel, just trying to pump back in the 5 to 10 minute videos, trying to figure out a soft circle date for when I'm going to go live every week. It's probably going to be Tuesday or Wednesday for 35, 45 minutes. So yeah, I appreciate everybody. I'm going to go shoot 100 at my local golf course now. And I hope everybody enjoys their Memorial Day Monday.
There you go. Dylan Terraman joining us here on the show. And wait, Dylan's immediately replaced by Scotty Mayhem. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Well,
Good morning, Scotty.
I actually wanted to talk to Dylan, but maybe next week you could throw this out to him because I'm perplexed and I really want to get some feedback on this. You know, he watches a lot of tape. So if you look at Jeremy Ruckert year one, literally they were showing him blasting people off the line. They were talking about him being an amazing run blocker, like off the chart, not good, like elite. Correct. And all of a sudden, in year 2 and year 3, it went from elite run blocking to this disaster. Like, forget about catching the ball. You know, he was dropping balls left and right, BG, but he couldn't block. It was like two different players. And I would really like to get Dylan's feedback. And if you could, you know, maybe just, you know, next week, just think about this, because he mentioned the tight end group. I don't agree with his assessment. I don't think it's a liability. I think you're going to see from Jeremy Ruckert an amazing turnaround because of what Indy was talking about in terms of coaching. I don't know what they did to this guy. His dad is a huge Jet fan, which we all love. We saw him on the draft. We were so happy that he was drafted to our team. And then he just went from this amazing asset to this liability. Getting this quarterback has done so many things for us. Number one, look, Garrett Wilson did not want to be a Jet. He was really pissed off with the way he was treated by our quarterback. You know, I wanted A-Rod to come back, but I didn't realize the amount of tension there was. So just for that reason alone, I think Garrett's back in. But I think Jeremy Ruckert is going to be an absolute revelation. And I want to understand what the hell happened with that run blocking.
Yeah, he had the Liz Frank injury, so I'm not sure if that was a big factor. Go ahead, Andy. Yeah.
Hey, you know, I know you're a big Aaron Rodgers, you know, proponent for him, but you know, everybody that played around him lowered their level of their game level. Nobody played better around him. Now that had to do with, it could be, you know, when Ruckert his rookie year, blocking was great. Who was our offensive coordinator then?
The kid, the youngster,
Mikey.
The youngster.
Okay, when Ruckert went downhill, just like a lot of the other players, who was the offensive coordinator then?
Nathaniel Hackett.
Right. That just tells you right there that Hackett was. I mean, we can complain about horrible coaching, but
also Keith Carter. Don't forget, everybody was lamenting Keith Carter coming back, and Saleh was really blasted about bringing him back. That was the one coaching move that a lot of people wanted him to be ousted, like get rid of Keith Carter. The players were grumbling. A lot of the coaches, you know, a lot of other teams were talking about Keith Carter. So I don't think he was an asset to us at all.
No, and I think that's probably why he got fired.
All right, so let's give a shout out here every time we get a super chat here on the show. Here from my daughters, Ryla.
Wow.
Shout out to Dylan here, by the way. You've got 2 raffle tickets so far this month, and you're $1 away from another one, Dylan. So if you just gift another $1 somewhere in the next couple of days, you'll get a 3rd raffle ticket here. But here's to you, Scotty. I think it was the Mike LaFleur, John Benton thing versus the Nathaniel Hackett, Todd Downing, and Keith Carter combination. He believes it was a coaching issue, was what played a factor, Scotty.
Okay, well, you know, look, I'm just telling you guys, I don't think tight end is the liability for us. I think you're going to see something special from Ruckert. I'm not saying he's going to get 500 yards passing, but you know, catching. But I do think he's going to be that run blocker that we need, especially in this type of alignment that we're setting up. So I see him as a tight end too. I think Mason Taylor is going to be amazing. He's got the bloodlines, everything that people are saying about him. is it was a fantastic pick for us. I think it was smart for us to go Membu first because I think all the tackles were gone by the time we got
outside of Ozzie. Ozzie was the only one available. Would the Jets have said, "Oh shit, like Ozzie's about to go before we come back around"? Most people thought he'd be there in the third round. So you're right. That ended up being the right decision.
I love it. And look, you know, I want that wide receiver to show up and show out. I thought it was a reach. My problem with the pick was I really think they could have gotten Arian Smith later. Like they probably could have gotten him in
at 110 you're talking about. That was rich.
Yeah.
You didn't like that pick. Okay.
I didn't like that. If we were going to get him in the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, whatever. But the defensive lineman that we needed, that interior lineman was sitting there. There were like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They talked about the character issues, so we don't know about that. And maybe they
were medical, right? They said they eliminated more players than we realized because of those two reasons, and obviously we will never have those answers, so we have to take them at their word, I guess, or not.
Listen, I trusted President Bush about Saddam Hussein, but I'm going to give Muji and Aaron Glenn the benefit of the doubt, so maybe they know something we don't know. But I really liked some of the picks that they did. I know a lot of people saying Barron is a dart throw. That guy looks like a freaking monster. I think he's going to be really good, that last pick. And
late 5th round pick, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the safety. I just absolutely love everything about that safety.
Oh, Malachi Moore, who they traded up for? Oh, yeah.
Love him. I mean, Branch had a dialogue with Glenn.
That's cool.
I trust Glenn, and I know we don't have anything to go on other than, you know, his past coaching, you know, not as a head coach.
Correct. Right. Yes.
But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And look, there's a couple of areas of weaknesses, but I don't think tight end is as bad as Dylan was saying. I really agree with you. I think it's going to be a point of strength. And I love Stone Smart. I know he's not an inline blocker, but he's going to be a great receiver. He did not get a lot of chances. If you look at his efficiency, though, it was off the chart efficiency. So give the guy a chance. I think this is what Glenn's going to do. And look, I can't leave without mentioning.
Obviously. Come on, let's hear it.
I have to mention something. But unlike the haters and the self-loathing Jet fans that are on this channel, not all, there's a lot of great Jet fans, but there are a few. And they just want to hate. They hate the Jets, they hate themselves, and they hate the Knicks. Now, if you love basketball, okay, if you just love basketball, how could you not love the New York Knicks? Look at what they did. They're down 2-0. They're down 20 freaking points. I don't want to hear about coaching. I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to tell me that this isn't a team that you can't root for. You want to root against them. You're a hater. Listen, I have nothing against the Warriors. Dakota's talking about his 4 championships, and I love Curry. I think they're a great team. What the hell does that have to do with hating the Knicks? If you love basketball and you can't root for this team, listen, I am honored that I have a Celtic fan who's going to be wearing my New York Nick Houston jersey for the next year. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But I got something for you, Indy. You talked a little trash yesterday about sweeping my Knicks, and I said something to you. I didn't say we were going to win.
I said gentleman's sweep, right?
No,
I said gentleman's sweep.
You did a bunch of pictures, my friend, with brooms. If you want to go back to the videotape, I saw the brooms.
I said gentleman's sweep.
Let me tell you something. It's not going to be a gentleman's sweep, okay? Let me tell you something about my New York Knicks. Okay, they're not going to lose another game in the Garden. You better damn for sure hope that your team wins the next game, because if they're winning 100% game 5. I 100% guarantee on that. They may lose the next game, and it's going to be very, very, very difficult for the Knicks to win the series. And I never guaranteed the Knicks were going to beat Indy. I think Indy's fantastic, but for the love of God, you cannot love basketball if you don't love this team. They have done something nobody's ever done before. So I don't want to hear from the haters. They're all in the freaking darkness right now. Lon, you can't even find him. Dakota with his nonsense the other day.
Ridiculous.
Shut the hell up, man. It's stupidity.
I will say this.
You gotta love
as I was watching the game yesterday, I'm going to be honest, Boy Scout honor. I was like, good Lord, this is over. Like when Halliburton hit that second 3 and then the steal to the layup, and there was 20 points. And Tibbs is like, T.O., timeout. I'm like, oh,
but that's
my God.
When I took my Houston jersey out and I looked at it and I said, Boy Green is going to be wearing this. Not only is he not going to be wearing a Celtics jersey for a year, thank you, Chef Kevin.
Yes.
Chef Kevin has been getting best. I hope the food is delicious, but for those self-loathing Jet fans that want to bash the Knicks, for what reason? Because your team's not in the playoffs, so you're going to bash the Knicks? The Hawks haven't been in the championship since 1958. Give me a freaking break. You don't have to root for my team, but at least give them some modicum of credit for the way they fight. You gotta listen. I know you, Boy Green. I know you're not a hater. You're one of the most positive people.
Thank you.
That's why I love you the way I do. Listen, the Jets may not win the Super Bowl, but you can actually root for a team that doesn't win a championship and say, like the Mets. If you're not a baseball fan, look at what the Mets did last year. They were like buried at the beginning of the year. They came back and they knocked Philly out. And then they went 6 games with the ultimate champions. It was a great year. The Knicks are having a great year. I believe they're going to win the championship. I truly believe they're going to come back and win. But if they don't, it's okay. Halliburton, I'll put the jersey on. I'll send it to my friend Indy. But don't you dare disrespect my team and bash them. For what reason? How do you not love this team? That's what I
know you're not talking to me because I have not bashed the Knicks yet.
I'm not saying you bash the Knicks, but don't you dare disrespect my team about a sweep. You're not sweeping the Knicks. You may end up going 7 games. And God help you if you're back in the Garden in that game 7. Boy Green predicted 7. I predicted 6. The next game is key. Absolutely key. But don't think if you're up 3-1 that you're winning this series. They're still coming back to the Garden. The Knicks win that game. It's 3-2. I'm going to give Halliburton a little nod here. You better win game 6 if you're up 3-2, because if you don't, God help you. Ooh. God help you. You're not winning game 7 at the Garden.
Scotty, I'm going to give you credit on this. The Knicks in the second half outcoached the Pacers.
Yeah.
They didn't outplay them. They outcoached them.
Okay.
And here's why. In that first half, we were attacking, and got literally the entire starting offense or the entire starting 5 in foul trouble. What did we do? Come out in the second half? We clock managed. We did not attack. They went to a completely different game plan. You had 2 players with 4 fouls. And 2 more players with 3.
When you guys came back, I said, what a freaking amazing victory. You guys came back. You should never have won that game. Give me a freaking break. We're up 15 points with 3 minutes left. But you beat us. It's a 7-game series. Like Pop said, you can win. Any team can beat any team in 1 game. But you got to win 4 out of 7 to be the best team. And if you do, I take my hat off to you and I say, you know what? You deserve it. You didn't win 4 games yet, Indy. You won 2. We won 1.
So you don't agree with what you don't agree with getting the Knicks outcoached the Pacers.
I don't. I believe that the Indiana Pacers did something remarkable in game 1. Game 2 was
We're not talking about game 1. Game 1's gone. We're talking about game 3 here.
3 is gone, my friend. Listen, okay, this is what I have to say to you. We're mirror images. These teams are freaking mirror images. We literally have like 2 points separating us. I mean, give me a break, okay? You're up 2-1, and I take my hat off to the players. You have a deeper bench. I said that from day 1. I didn't guarantee a win. I said this was going to be an absolute knockdown, drag-out, game. Then I start hearing about sweeping. I hear all the self-loathing Jet fans come out of the woodwork because they want to root against my team. You know what? F you. And take a look at what El Presidente, who I love, by the way, go take a look at what El Presidente said about the New York Knicks. And I said to him, take the broom and shove it up your ass. Okay, you're not sweeping the Knicks. Okay, they're too strong. But you may beat us, but we're going to give you everything we have. And it's not going to be 5 games. It's not no gentleman's sweep. It'll be at least 6 games. And I believe right now, Boy Green is right. I think we're going to figure out a way to steal 1 more game. It's coming down to 1 game. Let the best team win. If it's Indiana, guess who I'm rooting for in the championship? I'm rooting for Indiana.
Wow. I always root for the East teams.
Whichever team comes out of this series. That's the team I'm rooting for. So all you freaking self-loathing Jet fans that want to bash the Jets and talk negatively about them, same people that are talking negative about the Knicks, F you. You're not a basketball lover. Your team's not in the playoffs. Screw you. Okay? All I say is I love my team. It's an amazing year. You don't like them, go F yourself.
Raise a glass to that, Scotty.
Cheers. Thank you, Indy. Thank you, Scotty. That was beautiful. Wow. I love this these chapters of Boy Green Daily with this Knicks Pacers series. It's been beautiful. By the way, before we get out of here on a Memorial Monday here on the program, we have 600 plus people in the room. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, okay? Like the video and hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, right now you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or listening to the audio-only version, make sure you open up the YouTube app or go pick up your laptop or what have you and look up Boy Green Daily, look up Paul Eston Jr., and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now, also, one more thing. I have mentioned it a few times. You guys will hear me mention it more. My radio show celebrated 24 years this past week. The Man Show Boy Green. Originally, it was called Butt of the Man-Child, and it's had all these evolutions, but it's been on the air terrestrially for 24 years. That, unfortunately, is coming to an end at the end of June. But the good news is that the show is not dying. It is evolving and transforming to the digital world, which is awesome. And you guys can subscribe to that YouTube channel right now. Just search The Man Child Show with Boy Green Digital. Okay, we have 2 interviews already up. We recently spoke with Solomon Wilcots, longtime former NFL player, on that channel. We're going to be talking Jets. You'll see those interviews and special guests. We're going to be talking Giants. We'll be talking Bills. We'll be talking NFL. We'll be talking fantasy football. You guys will get to watch what you want to watch. There's going to be all kinds of different playlists and podcasts that you guys are going to be able to listen to. Again, just search it right now on YouTube. The Man Child Show with Boy Green Digital. Okay, that YouTube channel is up. We're growing that puppy. It's got 20-something subscribers. We're trying to grow up that channel. So any support you guys can give would be much appreciated. We're going to be doing content continuing, but it will start in full flower at the end of June, early July. That's when we'll be full bore. But we're going to have content all the way throughout. So I hope you guys can check it out. Again, that is the Man Child Show with Boy Green Digital. That's a brand new YouTube channel. That is where my new radio show is going to be. You hear me at the end of every Boy Green Daily episode. I don't have a radio show today as well. Lucas says share the YouTube handle. I will. I'll just drop it right now in the YouTube chat so you guys can see it. All right. One moment. And then you guys can hit it right up. Feel free to do so here on the channel. Shout out. Thank you, everyone that subscribed. Yeah, we're up to 22 subscribers now. The handle is at MC Show Digital. That is where you can hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere else as well. But I'll drop that in right now. Again, at MC Show Digital. Okay, we're going to have a ton of content. I just dropped in the link on YouTube if you guys are watching on YouTube. Again, it's at MC Show Digital. You'll see my face on there. You'll also see my radio partner, Jim Lurch. And you guys can subscribe right now, baby. Like I said, just as I just posted that, we're up to 22 subscribers. There'll be live shows. There'll be call-in lines. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff, and I'm really looking forward to that because, like I said, at the end of every Boy Green Daily episode, you hear me saying, oh, got to run to the radio station. Well, that won't be the case coming up here in a month. There will be no running to that radio station because the radio show will be digital, and you guys are going to get a ton of content coming from that. Again, it'll be New York Jets. It'll be NFL, and you guys will be able to listen and watch the interviews that you want to and tune into the live shows for all kinds of other cool stuff. There'll be NBA on this Knicks stuff and everything else. It's going to be pretty cool. So I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It'll be myself. It'll be my radio partner and a slew of awesome guests. Thank you to Hep, Indy Jets. I see you guys are subscribing. Luca. Okay. It's growing. 26 subscriber. Okay. That puppy's growing. 30th. Wow. DJ Dirty Cooch. That thing's growing like nobody's business. I love it. So thank you guys so much. Again, a ton of content's going to be coming there. We'll have YouTube Shorts and other social medias. Dakota's saying, wait, where? Again, if you just search on YouTube, at MC Show Digital. That is the handle on YouTube. You guys can feel free to subscribe to that. It's at MC. We're already up to 30 subscribers. You guys are surging, and thank you guys so much for the support. You guys will see new branding. Shout out to Gator. He's working on a lot of that behind the scenes, so you guys will see that as well. Again, it is at, one more time, MC Show Digital. That is our handle on Twitter. That's our handle on Instagram, and that is our handle on YouTube. It's just going to be sweet. I can't wait. It's a new age. We're here in 2025, and you got to adapt with the times. That, of course, I've had a few people ask, that will not affect Boy Green Daily. Boy Green Daily is the same beast that it is, baby. It's the same beast. So Boy Green Daily is not going anywhere. We're doing all the same normal stuff. It's just I'll be even more versatile with this show as well. It's more content for you guys. If you guys enjoy Boy Green, as I'm talking in third person for some reason, if you enjoy what I bring to the table, you're just going to get more of me. That's really what it's going to be, and I can't wait. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, let's remember what today's all about. Please spend time with your family. Enjoy this 3-day weekend that a lot of you guys have out there, and for good reason. But just remember, those who made the ultimate sacrifice to make all of this possible. That could be talking Jets on May 26th with 700 other people in the room. That just goes to show you that sacrifice to allow us to do whatever the heck we want. And, the armed forces and military services have played an important part of my life, and we should honor them every day. But specifically on this day, let's make sure we think about what it's all about. Thank everybody for tuning in. If you did go to or have become a Boy Green Coffee Club member, make sure you guys jump on the Discord. The Discord is popping, baby. We have fantasy football. We're going to be doing some Boy Green fantasy football leagues. That's going to be amazing. So make sure you guys jump on those. If you're a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, you guys can join that. If you're not a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, it's in the YouTube description down below. Join the Boy Green Coffee Club. It's only $2.99, baby. So thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thanks for all the subscriptions to the Man Chud Show with Boy Green Digital. That thing is firing up. It's already up to 31 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. I'll be promoting that a lot as we continue to launch that show, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow morning for another episode of Boy Green Daily. Take care, everybody. We'll